What's up, good people? Eh, About to begin in just a moment. Um, so share this content, share the broadcast with somebody. It's going to be good. We're going to talk about serial entrepreneurship, and it's going to be real helpful. It's going to be real helpful to those that are coming on. Let's see what's happening. All right. Let's get it going. Hold on one second. Got my guest in here. Boom. Jermaine, what it do? What it do?
What's up, brother? How's it going?
We're good, man. It's a good day. Hey, y'all share the broadcast. Those that are rewatching, appreciate you rewatching. We're not gonna hold you long. It's MBA season, and we want to make sure that we make good on our time. Uh, as we, since he put his hat forward, let me put mine on forward. We want to make sure we make good on our time and make sure you get the most out of this conversation. And I want to give some more or less practical tools and tips on, how not just what he's accomplished, because a lot of times we hear people talk about what they accomplish and we're inspired, but we're not really informed. And we have a lot of inspirational venues and avenues, but they don't always lead to transformation. And so transformation is what's going to actually make dividends in our lives. So with that being said, I got Jermaine Jones here. Most people know you from, if you went to high school, you knew him as a barber. You went to college, you knew him as a rapper. And then
Promoter.
he evolved, a promoter for
Yeah,
sure. And then he evolved into a hotel room, a
right,
tax office.
right,
And what most people do is they kind of, you know, label you where they met you, and they're like, okay, that's all he does is taxes.
right.
But there are so many different things that you're involved in, although your main brand is taxes,
Yes,
but there are other streams that you're doing that people
absolutely,
aren't even hip to. So
absolutely.
I'll tell you for one, I remember Jermaine was on a piece, and I'm more reserved when I'm doing an investment. I'm gonna take my time, think about it. He has less risk than I have. If I make a big oops, it's four kids and a wife,
Right.
and he was on this piece on a while. My wife is like a executive in it now, like on Novatech. And at the time when he told me about it, I was like, so there's a computer that's investing crypto for you?
Yes.
I don't know about that. Well, if I would have jumped in back then instead of waiting, my profit margin would have been so much higher than it is now. But he was already into the new thing that's now an old thing. And typically, when we're trying to get into new things and we wait too long, we miss out on great opportunity. So, with that being said, I want to talk about, tell us like some of the businesses that you are in, and then we'll kind of like give a framework on how does that all look as we're talking about serial entrepreneurs and this increased summit coming up in November.
So I'm not. Can you hear me good?
Yep.
Okay. So I'm not only in the tax business as an owner. Um, I also am in the business of helping people start tax businesses. So I do everything from helping them find a location, getting them their credentials, training them, providing coaching and support, throughout the season and forevermore after we get started. Um, Helping them negotiate their LOIs, which is, their letter of intent when they're getting ready to get a lease, helping them with their build outs, um, training employees, everything, top to bottom. So right now, I have about 40 offices under me, half of which I own outright. The other half are affiliates,
Right.
and our footprint now is as far Midwest as Chicago, um, DC, as well, and all the way down to Miami, and everything in between.
So let me ask this, and then what other businesses are you got? ATMs?
ATM machines, smoke shops, um, building homes right now, and crypto investing. Um, those are my main things.
So let's talk about scaling. So most people think, okay, man, that just sounds like it's overwhelming. How are you scaling? So how, not just how are you scaling, how would you tell someone to learn how to scale so they're not confined to their business?
Okay, so you're going to have to develop a protocol or a process for as many of the daily activity or daily functions of the business as possible. And once you can develop that process or that protocol, something that can be written down and taught to someone else, then it makes it easier for you to scale. I'll give you an example with my tax business. I have a script for what the employees say when somebody calls in. I have a script for what they say when they're sitting at their desk interviewing someone who's going to file their taxes. I have a script for what they say when they're out marketing. I have a specific way process to teach people how to do taxes. The same way I teach my managers, they turn around and use the same exact process to teach their employees. Um, all of the marketing material is already thought out and pre-designed. So when you come in, you literally just add a new address to it. And every part of the business is already scripted, and it's already, the processes are already documented. So once you get there, then you have a model. That's what's called the model, right? And then you can just copy and paste everywhere you go. Now the thing about it is a lot of people see the money in coaching and scaling and becoming a guru now, so they try to do it too early. You want to make sure that your model is trauma tested, is tried and true.
Right.
So I was in the business for 5 years perfecting my model, 5 to 6 years perfecting my model before I brought on an affiliate. And even when I brought on affiliates, I didn't initially just take a large influx of people, which I still haven't done to this point. And most of it is word of mouth. I took on a few people because I needed testimonies. So
And you also want to protect your brand because expansion too quickly ruins the quality of your brand.
right, right. So I brought on a couple of people and tried it out with them. Things went well. You know, they have a testimony to tell, and that adds credibility. And after a couple of years trying it out with a few people, then I started to open it up to more. And I like to do things gradually. I'm not like in a rush to do anything. I only grow as fast as my personnel. So if I don't have somebody who's competent and qualified, somebody that I have confidence in, then I won't open a new office. I won't bring on that person as an affiliate, because it's not about the money. It's about doing something that's credible, that's successful, that can be duplicated. And I feel like maybe after this year is when I'll just open the floodgates and, bring on hundreds of people.
So let me ask you this: when you talk about having multiple businesses,
Hmm.
how do you balance a personal life with different businesses that can sometimes compete for your love?
Okay, so you have to build a team around every business or every initiative. The business can't be you. You cannot be so connected to the day-to-day activity of the business that you don't have time to do other things. How does the saying go? he who works all day doesn't have time to make money, something like that, right?
Hmm.
So that's what I do. So if I'm gonna build the smoke shop, I'm starting in mine. In mind. I already have a couple of people that I think would be good to run the office. I already have somebody who's with me developing the concept or the ideas. I'm building a team from the beginning so that I don't have to be so connected to the day to day activity. And because I'm not connected to the day to day activity of any of the businesses, and I have a team that I can delegate to, that frees me up to be able to continue to create. Because that's my main thing. I need to be in a space. I need to
You're
have time
you're a
and space to be
visionary
able to
leader.
create.
So you're a visionary leader. You get the vision, you create it, and then you give it to other people to implement what was in your head. Okay,
Exactly.
so let me just put it in practical terms. We have architects and we have builders. So you got to figure out which one you are. An architect is I see the drawing, but I don't know how to build it. I'm an architect. I can tell all day Jones is an architect. But you put it in the hands of builders who say, "Tell me what you saw. I'm gonna build it."
Exactly.
So now let me ask you this question. I think this is critical for people who are watching. You're a tax guy. Now you're in a smoke shop. How do you cross into new industries? What's the strategy? Do you hire a coach? Because there's a lot of people like, yeah, I went to school for this. I'm trying to jump into another lane. Like, what do I need to do to get what is your strategy when you're jumping into a new industry that you're not necessarily welcomed in or a part of?
All right. So my thing is, I I now doing this tax thing alone, not having a mentor. Doing everything trial and error, and learning the hard way, right? I mean, yes, with that came resilience, but that's not necessarily the most favorable way I would like to learn a business, right? And I learned that from experience. So now what I do is I try to connect with somebody who is further along in the business that I'm trying to get started in, and I use them as a source of mentorship, inspiration, resources, whatever I can get from that relationship. Now this is the thing. I also can recognize a great opportunity very, very fast, and I don't hesitate to jump onto it. So I won't let me not having somebody to mentor me stop me from it. Just running a business and scaling a business and going through everything that I went through, it's kind of removed the fear. So I'm pretty much not scared to do anything, but preferably I would like to meet someone who's much farther along in that business and lean on them for information and resources and things like that. And that's my most comfortable way to jump into a new industry that I'm not in.
One of the things that you said, and I want y'all to share this broadcast or those that are rewatching, like one thing that he said that I thought was critically important that we may have missed is that he says, I'm not afraid to take advantage of opportunity and move fast. Speed is important. So there is a cost to missing opportunity. Like
Yes.
it's an expensive cost when you miss opportunity.
Yes.
So so the benefit of being an effective serial entrepreneur is this: you get introduced to opportunities before the market does. Can you talk about opportunities that have opened up because other people have seen you do what you're doing well?
Yes. So the home building thing. Um, it was it's the guy who brought me into it is a guy who watched my success from the beginning to where I'm at now in the tax business, and he, he was proud of me. First of all, second of all, you know, my name came across his desk several times, and it came with credibility. And because of that, he was looking for a partner, and what he was getting ready to do in this development business, home development business, and he wanted somebody with great energy, who is who has a track record for success, who's very ambitious, and I just kind of fit the criteria for him. So that door just opened for me. So that's one example of how situations just kind of found me. But also, I'm always looking and seeking. I'm paying attention to what's happening. I'm looking at where the market is going. I'm looking at where the economy is going. I'm listening to the people. I'm looking for problems to solve. You know, I'm
Boom.
tapping into the very successful people that I know, and I'm asking them, all right, what do you do now? What did you do before you got this wildly successful? What were some of the things that you did on your way up? And when something catches me that's like kind of right in my grasp of what my skill set could be effective with, then I jump on it.
So you talked about something that I thought was important. So typically, if you do work well, I'm a faith person, so I believe that the way God rewards people who are faithful is He gives them
Yeah,
more work.
yeah,
Like if God can trust you with work, He gives you more work. Actually, He
right,
gives you the work that somebody else should be doing, but they're not willing to do it, so He gives it to you to do. So
right.
let me ask you about, you're into this space of a, a unique business, a business that most people don't even think about, ATMs.
Hmm.
Talk about that for a moment. Like, how did you get into that? What was the thought process behind it? How did it all come together?
Okay, so my tax business is a very active business for me, and what I try to do is the businesses that I get into outside of the tax business, I need to be passive or semi-passive, right? Because
So,
I try to protect.
pause. Yeah, I want to assume everybody knows. When you say passive and semi-passive, what do you mean?
So passive is something that you can put money into and it gives you money out. You don't have to be involved in the day-to-day, activity. Semi-passive is something that, you have a very limited involvement in the day-to-day activity. You might have to tap in once a week, once a month, once a quarter, you know. So I like to do that to preserve my energy for the thing that I built that I know is going to work, which is taxes, right?
Hmm.
So, that's kind of how I decide, what I'm going to get into, right? So I was looking for something that was like very, very passive, right? I was looking for another job for my money. I had money that was sitting, and I was looking for a job for that money.
Wait. Yeah, I catch things where people. So he said passive, semi-passive. That's something to put in the chat. Passive and semi-passive. But then he said something that I think most people miss is he said I needed my money to go to work.
Right.
Like I know we didn't hear that, we didn't really process that, but he's literally saying that our cash should also have a job.
Absolutely. And this is when I started my mindset started to change. It was the same guy that put me on with the home building. Um, this guy named Mike Harris. Um, I fell in love with that feeling of going to the bank teller or going to sit with the business banker, coming in dressed like this, and then they look at my account, and then they have to look at me twice because they're like, "Oh wow, I didn't know." Yeah, like they just wasn't expecting that, right? And I used to love that feeling. So I would just let the money pile up in there. Yes, I would make investments and stuff like that, but I would let the money pile up because I just love that feeling, shocking people like they just didn't expect me to have what I have, right? So, and I spoke to him, and he was like, "No, brother, you need to get that money out of the bank, and you need to put that money to work." And I told him about how much of the money that I make that I would invest, and he told me how much money of his money he would actually invest. And I was like, "Oh wow, I'm not even in the same stratosphere. I need to be doing more. I can be doing more." And that right there is what inspired me to start looking for something else. And then my friend William Moxie, he has QuickBooks now. He started doing the ATM thing, and I asked him about it, and he told me about it. And I'm like, you know what? That's a great idea because if I got 5 grand sitting in the bank doing nothing, right? I can take that same 5 grand, I can buy a machine, I can fill it up with cash, and that cash can make me $500 or $600 a month, right? So
10% on your money.
easily, right? Some locations can make 1,000 a month. Some make $200 a month, but it doesn't matter what it makes. It's making more than it is in the bank. So I said, man, if I took a big chunk of this out and I just bought machines, I filled them up with cash and I let them make money, I would have literally not just a whole nother stream of income. It's literally a whole nother business that I don't have to be there to manage. And it gets to the point to where after you have so many machines, you can hire a company that will go and fill the machines with their money and take a
So
small piece of the profit,
let me back up and help some of y'all who are may not be tracking. So your money's at the bank regardless, not making
regardless.
no money.
None.
So what he's doing is he's taking his money out of the bank and putting it into an ATM as the bank. So while I'm walking through the hair salon, I'm like, I need cash. I put my money in. I get charged a fee. I get charged another fee, and you're basically getting from the ATM his money.
Yes.
So the objective is that don't let your money sit,
Uh-uh.
let it go to work. Like
Put as much of it to work as you can.
and there is a poverty mindset on why we want to have a lot of money in the bank because we may have grown up poor and having a number in our account makes us feel some type of way because we
Yeah,
grew up not having that. But
100%.
when I go to the bank, I want them to look at me and say, I expected more to be in here. And I always tell them, I was at the bank the other day. She was like, "You're a business person?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "My money's at work. It don't come back in yet. It's still
Yeah.
working in the field. It'll come
And,
back.
and,
It's gonna
and,
come
and you
back
know what?
soon."
That's a feeling that I'm having to start to get comfortable with now. The more and more that I invest, not getting that reaction anymore, not getting that validation anymore, not getting the people asking those questions anymore. But if you're, if you have a zoomed out perspective and you're looking at the big picture, then you can live above those emotions. And yeah.
Yeah. So you got into that. Let me ask you, how do you balance the pressure that comes with people expecting you to finance their visions because you have these different babies? And maybe somebody may not have as large as yours, but they may have a little something going, and people are like constantly pulling on them. How does that work in your world? How do you decompress the constant desire for people to need more from you than you can actually give?
I fell in love with the word no. Okay. This is what I realized. I realized that I have to get myself in a good position in order to truly help people and add serious value. You know, be able to really change their lives, like what they really want me to do, right? So if I understand that, then I understand that I have to tell people no in order for me to get in position to be able to really help them later on. And once I embraced that concept, it wasn't an issue anymore. I was able to tell my mom no, my dad no, the people that I love the most no. I could have 100 grand in the bank, right? And if it takes 80 grand for me to double down and reinvest in my business and get myself to that next level that I want to be at, and I want to take half of that 20 grand, half of that 20 grand that's left and just blow it on whatever I want to do for me to make me feel good about all the time that I put into earning this money, then that's okay because that's what I need for me to be happy and be in a good mind space and come in with good spirits and good energy every day. And if you ask me for some money, and my question is no, you saw me buy these clothes. Yes, you saw me take that trip. Absolutely. I don't have money for you right now. I have money for me right now, and I have money to reinvest in this business, or this opportunity or this investment so that I can get myself in a position to really add some value for you later. So you can either one, be patient and wait, or two, just completely miss out altogether. It's coming on my time, so you have to wait. And I just got very comfortable with that. I embraced that, and it's not a problem anymore at all.
Being a serial entrepreneur, there's very few that are in the room that are in the same league. How do you balance feeling like you're alone? Now, here's where I want to qualify that statement. because you could have people in a room with you or a crowd with you and still feel alone. How do you build authentic friendships when you have achieved so much? How do you discern who's really in your corner? You know, because I say it like this: everybody's with you when you're on top,
Mhm.
nobody's with you when you're in trouble.
Well,
So how do you balance that?
I'm very, very mindful of what I'm doing, right? So I don't give myself into a compromise, right? I don't give so much of myself and my resources that I feel a way if I don't get that back from somebody,
That's
right?
good.
So because I'm always giving from that comfortable space to where if you can return it, then great. And if you don't, it's okay because I'm happy with what I gave. I gave this from my heart, right? I never, none of my relationships are ever compromised. And I have time for people to over time organically just show me who they are. Like I'm not gonna take you out and buy 10 bottles and do all of that. And then next time we go out, I'd be like, all right, it's on you this time. No, I'm not gonna do that. If we go and hang out, whatever I do is on me. I'm gonna do this anyway. I'm welcoming you into my life and into my space so you can enjoy this with me. I don't expect you to do anything, and I'll just allow myself to be pleasantly surprised instead of like having expectations of being let down.
The beautiful word that I use is you just change your expectations.
Hmm.
You minimize the desire to expect people to reciprocate what you are, because that minimizes the disappointment. We are
Absolutely.
only disappointed at the level of our expectation.
Exactly. So I don't have any for anybody. And everything that I give is from the heart. So it's like it's cool. I just create this space where people can interact with me on the level that they want, and I just appreciate what they give. But I take notes though. I do take notes, and over time, I know who's for me. And it's all of the small things that add up. It's not big stuff. Like nobody has to come and buy me a car or buy me a Rolex to show me that they're faithful to me. They don't have to save me from a burning building or anything like that. But it's the little things, when I'm feeling down and I'm disconnected from social media and they haven't seen me out in a while and then they call to check and say, "Hey, what's up? What's going on? Do you need anything? Can I pull up on you? Can you need someone to talk to?" Like it's things like that. That's how I really decipher who's for me and who's not for me.
Cool. So we got a couple minutes left. I need y'all to go and read. Listen, this is all free. If you think this is some, wait till you get into the Increase Summit. I mean, my whole thing is to expose. I'm a faith leader, so my job is to lead people, and I lead a lot of people. And my job is to expose people to possibilities that they. I mean, these conversations happen every day in different rooms, but a lot of times we're not in the rooms to hear it, so we're not like, oh snap, I didn't know I could do an ATM business. Well, now you've been exposed, you can't be unexposed, right? That's the key. Once you're exposed, you can't be unexposed. So now what you do with the information is on you. So we're asking you to invest in yourself. I don't call it registering, I call it investing in yourself to make yourself better. And I think it's going to definitely make you better. Join the many that have already registered, and there's a discount code for all of you that are watching. It's real simple. Put pregame in the registration, and it'll give you 10% off. I want to ask you this because I think I'm a person of faith, and I would be remiss not to ask that as a pastor. I mean, Jermaine has been a part of Jermaine. I think you started with the church. I'm not sure, but
Yeah,
anyway,
I was at Edgewater.
yeah. So I want to ask you a real question, because a lot of people who are um, having multiple businesses, how do you balance? Like, I'm not saying there's a religious duty, like come to church. Like Jermaine doesn't go to church every Sunday, but if Jermaine is in a spiritual thing, he calls. Like he gonna pick up the phone call. We're out, and there are a lot of people that I'm learning. It's not an excuse not to go to church at all, but I'm learning a lot of people who are multifaceted in the entrepreneurial space. Their faith is not what is a traditional sense of faith. But my question is, and when I say traditional sense of faith, I mean like I'm a devout churchgoer every single week. My
Right.
question to you is, how do you balance faith and wealth?
Well, I try to make sure I have some sort of source everywhere I'm at. So, for example, on my social media, I follow you, I follow other pastors, I follow people who give a word that I can receive, that I can appreciate, that relates to my life, that hits for me. right? I make sure I have a lot of that inside of my followers so that when I'm on social media, it's flowing down there. I download sermons and podcasts to my phone. So while it's shuffling through every now and then, it'll land on one and it's there. I make sure that I stay connected to you guys through our group chat. So if I ever need to lean on any of you guys, you're there. I just make sure that it's in all of the areas where I go. I might have a little quote and it'll be in my tax offices. I just make sure that it's everywhere. So it's like it's subconsciously programming me and reminding me and being there. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I just kind of fit it in always. So it's just always there on my mind and on my heart. What I've been thinking about it. The same way major companies market and program consumers. The same way I try to make sure that the programming is there for me. And I also stay connected to you, as my biggest source.
Yeah. I want to ask you a great question. And yeah. And Jermaine's open to correct, to be like, you're wrong. I mean, he may take it, he may do his own thing, but that's a very unique space that some people who are successful don't feel like they can receive correction or anything. Let me ask you this. What is your greatest regret in business?
Oh man, my greatest regret in business. Hmm. That I didn't bet on myself earlier. That I waited
That's
so
good.
long. Why I waited so long? Why did I do that? Man, if I would have started on this journey 5 years before I did, 10 years before I did, like when I was very capable of doing it back then, Lord knows where I'd be right now. But I feel like everything happens for a reason. So although it's something that I regret, it's not something that like it holds me back at all. I don't lose sleep over it. I'm just happy to be here now, and I'm happy to be adding real value to people's life right now, really changing lives, and really changing the world and doing my part. So I'm happy for where I'm at.
I want to take a few questions, but I want to wrap up with this thought. I think this is a real good thought to wrap up with. Um, Most people, you're a pretty high confident individual, but I'll ask you this question. I want to take a few questions. If you got it, fire them away. It's always good to get insight from others that are doing what you desire to do, or maybe not doing exactly what you want to do, but on the same path or road. I want to ask you this question. Do you ever see yourself like, so, you said, I wish I would have betted on myself. And there's probably someone that's tuned in or rewatching this and like, yeah, I get it. But they're probably thinking, well, now that you have the success, it's easier to say, I wish I would have betted on myself. You made it now, quote unquote. You've reached the level of what less than 5% of America has achieved or desired to achieve. But do you ever feel like you are not still qualified to do some things that you're hoping to do?
I'm gonna tell you why I don't feel like that. I was invited to an investment meeting, right, at a private members only club, and at the table with me is a billionaire, another billionaire, um, an angel investor, a top executive from Google, um, a guy who manages a $2.5 billion fund who's been in Forbes several times since he was younger than me, and an array of different people, right? And I showed up there with my hair out, big and curly, dressed like I dress, and there was a place for me, and I belonged, and I had value. And at one point, it was me and the guy who manages the fund, one of the billionaire guys, gets up, Brink walks his chair around and sits it on my side so that he can talk with us because it seemed like we had the best conversation going on. And what that lets me know is I have value, I have a place amongst those who are even way farther and way more successful than me. And that's what lets me know or reminds me that I can do anything. Anything that I put my mind to right now, I can do. Because even as I am right now, I still have a place and I still have value. And I can show up as myself. So the sky's the limit for me because not many people even get a chance to be in those type of rooms. So I'm there, man. I'm like I believe I could do it all.
I love the answer because it the key word that you said was there's a place for me.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times people feel like the market is so saturated that they don't need me.
Right.
Like you are, I think you said it best. The phrase is to me, it's the phrase for me, like they say, that
Yeah.
there's a space for me because a lot of people feel like something is too saturated, so I can't get in it.
Right.
But there is a space for you. Your
Yes.
uniqueness, your
Yes.
difference is your brilliance.
Yes.
And a lot of times we're trying to assimilate and be like everybody else, but our difference is really our brilliance.
Yeah.
And so, man, I thank you for coming on and sharing your thoughts. Man, you should tell them how they can follow you
Yeah.
and tell them about the opportunity that if they want to do a safe tax, they can,
Yeah.
and how they can get in contact with you and look into that.
Yeah. So you guys can follow me on Instagram at I am Jones 407. That's IAMJONES 407. Um, and if you guys are interested in either one, opening a physical tax office, two, starting a virtual tax office, um, or three, keeping your current job, coming on as an independent contractor, learning the trade, making money, supplementing your income while you prepare yourself to either make that transition or just to continue to use it to supplement your income. If any of those things is attractive to you or you're interested in something like that, just jump in my DM and say taxes. I'll remember you from this conversation, and I'll offer you some sort of special rate um, for my coaching and my training. And Dave, I would also like to sponsor a couple of people for the summit as well too. So, two people in particular.
Yeah, I
Um,
already did two,
yeah,
so
yeah.
that'll be four.
Oh, you did the two already?
Yeah, we did the two.
All
So
right, but then let's do two more then.
okay.
Two people that were on this call. I'll let you pick them randomly, and I'll sponsor them as well too.
So the first two that jump in either of my DMs, we're gonna pick you out. So there you go. One, two, go. You jump in the DMs. The first two that I see from the timestamp, that's the ones we're gonna pick. So there you go, y'all. Jump in the DMs. Don't say pick me. Jump in the DMs. Go, 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 go. Because sometimes on this screen it doesn't let me see your name, who you're on, and so it won't allow me to be able to see who you are. Hey, y'all, I think there's so much that was dropped in here. I kind of cut him off a few times because, it's just normal for him to just talk, but I wanted to make sure that you really understood what was being said and conveyed because it's a game changer. Now, here's the thing, y'all. Why I did the increase summit is not so we can be like, yo, Jay, that was dope. Like that's the information. No, no, no. What you gonna take from it and what you gonna do with it?
Right.
Like what are you gonna do with it? You gonna go look into opening ATM. You're gonna go into that business space and say, there's a space for me. I'm gonna bet on myself. I'm gonna find me a coach. I'm gonna, you got to do something with it because faith without works is dead. Like you can pray to God all day. God's like, all right, cool. I'm waiting on you. So y'all, we waiting on you. Go register. Don't just wait. If you didn't get picked, it's cool. Make the investment in yourself. $179. I promise you, within the first hour, you're gonna make it back. And I have like 7 presenters that are gonna be there killing y'all. Not literally, but but I mean really showing you steps on how to do it because you just don't need to be enamored by what we're doing. Like we're doing a thing, group economics. We just closing on a triplex. Like how did we do that? Like Jones, you own property with us
Yeah.
in
5
Ellijay.
acres in the mountains.
Yeah. So we own like that's what I'm talking about. It's like these type of relationships, like we all started off in high school together, but we started going to church together and we formed a workout group and we decided, hey, let's put our money together and buy something. And we own 20% of that entire neighborhood. Why? Shoot, if we really want to run the HOA, we can run it ourselves because we
Right.
own 20% of it. But
Right.
the reality is this, we can do amazing things if we just stop, looking at how great each other is and start posturing ourselves to do great things together. And your thing may not be my thing, but we can still be great together, right? There's enough room, there's enough space on top of the mountain for everybody.
Right.
I ain't got to kick you off the mountain. But Jay, thank you so much. Hopefully I'll see
Thank
you in
you,
church
brother.
Sunday. Praise the Lord. Praise
Yes, sir.
Jesus. All right, y'all. Y'all, thank you for tuning in. Y'all share this. If it was meaningful for you, just do me a favor. Tag somebody on it. That's all I'm asking. It was free. All I'm asking you to do is tag somebody on and say, yo, you need to watch this. That's all I'm asking you to do. Or share it with somebody and say, I need to do that. Um, so yeah, do that for me. Do that. I'm asking you two things. If it was helpful to you, tag some people that need to watch it, share it with somebody. I think it's going to be this one was probably one of the best ones that we've done. I think it's very helpful and it's going to be very helpful for you. Peace out, y'all. We'll talk soon.